Well, good Monday morning to you, and welcome to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi's Live Healthy, Be Healthy. I'm your host, Jim Tabor, along with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition, located on Callan Road in Gulfport, south of Pass Road. This is where we give you the opportunity to call in and ask questions regarding the subject of the day, or if you have something else in mind that you've been wanting to call and ask them about, you're welcome to call on that too. Now, if you don't want to ask them personally, you're welcome to pass the question along to our operator, and they'll pass it along to us. Our phone lines are 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. Today's topic, more towards the men's side of things, but I guess women maybe in a way can have some too, and that's testosterone.
Right.
Well, women do have testosterone.
Yeah, women do have it much lower than a man.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we are seeing an epidemic of low testosterone in men.
Really?
So that's one reason why we wanted to talk about it.
And I'm sure a lot of it goes back to diet and lifestyle.
Oh, much.
Yeah, you know, we talk about correlation and causation. Get that out first. Things that correlate to something and things that we can show an actual causative action to. And all of the correlation is going back to sugar, unfortunately, or actually insulin. And the causation, you know, we haven't quite had enough data to say, yeah, emphatically that's it, but everything correlates to it. The correlation is much stronger in the insulin testosterone venue than it is the cholesterol and heart disease thing. Okay, it's that strong. But that correlation is showing us that especially the guys that come in with high sugar issues, especially if they're high insulin, it's actually causing a problem.
Yeah, we're seeing it in many people because we do a lot of lab work. Right. But for years, I mean, even years ago, there's no doubt as men age, their testosterone decreases some. Still
bit.
Shouldn't decrease to nothing, but it decreased some. We're seeing it now in the 20-year-olds.
Really?
Yes.
20, 30s,
20,
yeah.
30, yeah. Oh,
20s,
as young,
30s, yeah.
We're seeing it very, very young. So that's why we're saying it's really, and all those people that we're seeing it in that are young, if somebody is young and we're seeing the low testosterone, then they almost always show higher insulin and a higher sugar value. So it's almost always.
And that's a strong correlation.
Right.
Okay, so you know, we correlate it to it, that's what's causing the problem. And, you know, the science is just now beginning to understand how it happens, and that insulin actually, you know, when we take in sugar and carbohydrates and so on, our body produces, our pancreas produces insulin in response to that to kind of control things. And that insulin actually floods our system, and it mimics enough, if you will, the receptors, and it kind of floods them and covers them up, the receptor sites on the testicles that tell the testicles to make testosterone. So the hormone that normally tells the testicle, hey, we need some more testosterone, never gets to do its job. And that's a real issue, you know, that we're seeing more and more of. And it's invariable, you know, the correlation, they say, well, you know, yeah, it's pretty strong evidence. Clinically, what we see, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that that's what's doing it,
Yeah,
because we
clinically.
see it a lot. Now, and, I mean, the other reason we see very young people with lower testosterone is doing injectable testosterone and steroids. No doubt stops your own production.
Well,
and
I mean,
those guys a little bit later have horrible testosterone.
They do.
Do you see that more so among young men, and athletes?
Well, you talking about the ones using testosterone?
The ones that are using it, or using steroids, or using some type of bodybuilding stuff that are out there?
It tends to be more the bodybuilders.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't tend to be more the athletes. It tends to be more the bodybuilders that we see.
I mean, obviously some of the athletes, you know, kind of may do that, but they're under the gun. I mean, you know, they're being tested, so they're a little bit more reluctant to do that. And but you know, the guy that's the quote unquote gym rat or something, you know, they'll see their buddy doing it. Their buddy's, oh, look, I did do this and I pressed 450 pounds yesterday. You know, and the next thing you know, okay, well, I want to do that too. And so they're doing it. And then when they stop doing it, and most of it's illicit or illegal or whatever, and when they stop doing it, then they have a problem because they crash. And we do see that, but the majority of what we see is the average Joe that is not a gym rat.
Hadn't done anything.
No, I mean,
he's just low testosterone.
Yeah.
And they get the symptoms of low testosterone. Let's put that out there, because that way men can kind of know. It is when you start getting real lethargic, fatigued, depression, anxiety, weight gain, You know, you see
low sex drive, and for a guy that's
no sex drive,
yeah.
and also some people, if it's severe enough, hot flashes. They get hot
Some
flashes
men,
just
yeah.
like women
Oh, yeah, yeah.
if it gets bad enough. So we see a lot of that too.
We've actually seen some, like she said, the
Yeah.
hot flashes. You know, it's kind of strange when a
'Cause
guy
men are
that's
like,
in
"Oh
his
my
30s,
gosh,
a
yeah."
guy when he's in his 30s comes in and says, "Doc, I don't know how to. I think I'm having hot flashes."
Well, they're having night
Yeah.
sweats at night
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that can be a lot of other things, but low testosterone is one of them that it can be. And, we, you know, like I said, we're seeing so much of it. It's not just occasionally that we're seeing it, and that's why we were going to have a show on it, is because it is every day that we see it.
That's
in young
true.
people. And like I said, and older. The older guys are dropping even farther than they used to. And then the younger guys are starting to have low testosterone at a very young age.
Yeah.
So
No doubt.
Wow.
It's a real problem.
something. I would have never thought it in younger people
Yes.
like that. You
We've
know,
actually
yes,
had
you
them in
said
their
the older-
20s. Yeah.
Really?
Late 20s.
Wow, that's
pretty scary.
And again, a lot of it has to do with your diet. As you said, you know, sugar is one of the culprits that will lend to that situation.
well, we're even
And-
seeing some of the younger teenage boys that actually aren't getting their testosterone coming in like it should because of the sugar as well.
That's
so,
true.
I mean, you even start talking about some of the
That's
kids.
true.
Now, in that case, you know, definitely diet change is the biggest thing you want to do,
Yeah.
especially if a kid's not getting their testosterone.
Right.
We wouldn't really do anything to boost it in that age group.
Right.
But definitely, you know, there's things that you can do in the other age groups. And the first thing is to change diet.
Okay.
The American diet's not really isn't
No,
good for anything,
it's
as
not.
you know.
And unfortunately, Mississippi, we're some of the worst ones about
Yeah.
you know, not eating what you're supposed to, or
Right.
or eating too much of that good stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Too much of that good stuff. All right, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Those are our phone lines that are open to you, and we invite you to call in with a question regarding today's subject or anything in particular. And we'll take a break. We'll be right back. And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi's Live Healthy, Be Healthy. Jim Tabor, along with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition. Now, you're welcome to call in. You know, it may seem like a delicate subject for guys, but so you know, if you want to call in and just leave the question, you don't have to leave a name or anything like that regarding this. But it is something that you know, a lot of men deal with, and again, surprisingly, that even at such an early age, in the 20s and 30s,
Yes.
you know, I figure once you got on up like 40s, 50s, 60s, like that, it was more prevalent. But
Well, it used to be
Well,
in the
it's
50s,
probably-
60s, and 70s,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
Now
It's probably more prevalent still in the older groups, but we see a lot of younger guys. And a lot of the younger guys, we're probably seeing a lot of the ones having problems because they're coming in wanting it checked, which means they think they might have a problem. So we probably see a higher percentage because of they're having symptoms, which is
Right.
why they're coming in and getting it checked in the first place. And so
so, what are some symptoms?
Well,
you know?
fatigue is probably one of the
biggest thing?
That's probably one that gets most
just
of the
dragging.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
they
just
say,
say, I'm
look,
so tired, I can't get up.
no energy.
Yeah, you know,
right.
the guys, you know, it's like we hit it all the time. You know, the guy says, you know, like, I've been going to the gym, you know, and I can't even do I can't even do anything. I
And
get on a
also,
treadmill, you know,
loss
fall
of
off.
strength. I mean, people
Just-
say, I'm not as strong as I used to be.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's what we hear a lot too. And we hear that at
Yeah,
all ages.
that we
is
hear all the time,
The
yeah.
strength. They can't build muscle like they did before. And
Right.
so there's a lot of things. And another thing that's affecting, there's a lot of other things that are affecting them. Definitely sugar and insulin. We talked about that. But stress is another factor that affects testosterone. No doubt.
And some of the chemicals.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
you
some
know,
of the estrogen in our environment.
what people don't realize, okay, let's do the BPA free thing, all right? How many of you out there, raise your hand, pick out the BPA free label? Good for you. Now, what you don't know is that they took out BPA and we put in BPS. All right. Same darn thing. It's just it's a cousin of BPA.
Yeah.
It's bisphenol
Which
S.
is in plastic.
It's plastics.
If you're wondering where it is,
Yeah.
it's in plastic.
And it's in everything. I mean, you know, everything you pick up, you know, a plastic bottle of what, you know, you go to some of the big box stores and
So
you'll
those
see a
plastic
pallet.
storage things that you
Never,
keep to put in
never
Well,
heat
yeah,
food.
never-
never
never
heat
store it.
food in plastic.
No.
Oh, I
I mean,
know-
never
no,
heat
no.
it in plastic and never store it in plastic.
So you can't do, so like, you know, if I've cooked a bunch of stuff or something and then after I let it cool down, I shouldn't put it in that plastic thing and put it in the refrigerator?
You'd be better,
better
off
off with
putting
glass.
glass. Let's
Better
put it
off
that
with
way.
glass.
Better off with glass.
think they
Plastic
have a
top
color.
might be okay.
Yeah.
You know, but you're better off with glass because it really is a problem. All right, looks like we have a call.
Leroy from Gulfport's on the phone. Good morning, Leroy. What's your question for the doctors?
Yes, I was wondering what the advantage over the deep water shrimp oil. I can't remember the name of it right now. over
Krill?
the fish oil.
Oh, you talking about krill?
Krill, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, krill is the one of the biggest things, Leroy, about krill is absorbability. How much of it can you absorb? And it's pretty easy simply because of the droplet size. That's the big advantage on krill.
And the biggest thing that we find people that will do krill over fish oil is because of digestive issues. Some
Right.
people don't digest fish oil properly, and it'll give them indigestion, it'll make them burp fish, stuff like that. So krill doesn't tend to do that as much.
As much.
A lot of times, you'll see that krill, yes, if you take milligram per milligram, it probably is more beneficial than fish oil. But to do milligram per milligram is very much more expensive. So, I mean, we do a lot more fish oil than krill oil because of cost. Because when people do krill, they don't tend to do enough to be beneficial to me.
No, they don't. And
Because of cost.
what's really interesting is we do a test, and it's really kind of a neat test done by the Cleveland Heart Lab. It's called the Omega Check. Okay, and what it does is it checks your omega-3s and omega-6s and your ratios and all this really neat stuff. And it's really interesting when somebody comes, well, I'll take krill. How long have you been taking it? Well, I've been taking it for years. Okay, fine. And then we do the omega check, and it comes back. Man, are they upside down?
They're not getting enough omega-3s. And
No.
everybody that we check that does just like a 500 milligram of krill oil, which that's what the bottle a lot of times will tell you to do, but it's not enough.
It's not
now,
enough.
if we do our high EPA DHA fish oil, which we have, the omega checks are great on people that take that one. So, I mean, I do say, I do take krill instead of fish oil because I don't digest it
Takes a
well.
bunch of it.
But I take about 4,000 milligrams a day, which is
Ooh,
expensive.
yes,
It
that's a
is.
lot,
It's actually,
yeah.
I take a lot.
Start growing gills after
That's it. That's it. Flippers.
Mark from Diamond Head on the phone with a question. Good morning, Mark. What's your question for the doctors?
Yes, I was diagnosed with the low testosterone about 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
I am on my second week of shot. Next, on the 29th, I'll have my third shot. I've lost 36 pounds. I'm eating right. I'm doing everything the way I'm supposed to be doing it. I'm exercising and everything. The only thing is I was wondering, is there a supplement I could also take to boost the testosterone more?
Yes, that's what we were fixing to talk
Yeah.
about soon. Was we have a product called AndroBuild, and what
Yeah.
it does, it stimulates
Okay.
your own production of testosterone. And one of the
AndroBuild, okay.
yeah, AndroBuild, and it works really well.
Yeah, because eventually what you want to do, Mark, I mean, you sound like a fairly young fellow. And
I'm 48 years old.
that's young.
That
okay.
is young.
That's right.
Well, yeah.
Tell him, Jim. That's young,
young,
dude.
yeah.
Okay, that's young.
We can
gotta
tell
get,
you,
We
that's
got to
young.
get you thinking, Mark. That's young. Okay.
Actually, we're all older
We're all
than that.
in it, right.
We're all older than that sitting here.
So, but that's really good. But the thing is you don't want. You're 48, and you're taking an injectable testosterone. And now, for a second, let's talk about what that does to you. That shuts down your body's ability to produce its own testosterone because you're literally telling the brain, "I got testosterone.
I don't need it.
I don't need it."
Right.
So it quits trying. Now, and you're 48. Are you going to be taking this for the next 40 years? Nah, probably not, simply because the insurance is not going to pay for it. It gets kind of expensive,
Well, there's
blah, blah,
also
blah.
some other
So
things.
you think the doctors were wrong about giving me this?
How low was your
shots every 2 weeks?
How low was your testosterone? That's the question.
They said really low.
Depends
Define
on how
really
low.
low.
because-
And I don't know the
Okay.
exact numbers, but they did say that, and I was ignorant to the fact that testosterone causes other diseases. I thought it was just, your
Right.
sex drive.
No,
I didn't
no,
know
it does a
lot of
cause,
things.
Bone
Yeah.
density,
the liver, kidneys,
Right.
everything.
Bone
And I was,
density,
I
yeah,
was
right.
literally in shock
Yeah.
about what low T does.
Yes.
Because I basically took supplements before, the ones that you find on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I took those supplements that basically said, the max, testosterone max, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem to be doing anything.
Well, it really depends on
I-
the level too. We see
Yeah.
some men, if they're
Right.
really, 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 really low, and I mean that would be like under 100 on the scale.
And we see that.
Right.
They probably do need injectable, but a lot of people fall in that range where we think that we've seen it. They can make their own if they actually do the right things to do it. But some people,
Right.
there are people out there that need the injectable. So the
Yes.
thing is to do is get a copy of your lab work, bring it to us, or
We'll
call
look at-
us,
Right.
and let's see where you were.
But I think one of the things that Mark's done, and I always stress this when I talk to a guy about his testosterone, you know, you ate your way into this situation, you're going to have to eat your way out of it, you know, and you've done that, okay? You're doing that. Because a lot of the guys don't want to hear that. Well, that can't be the problem. It can't be that simple. Yeah, it really can be.
I was 293.
Yeah. So that was part of the problem.
I was 293 pounds, and I just saw the, it was a cycle. And believe me, I was at 293 trying to lose weight, but I was doing it all wrong.
Okay.
When as far as the diet goes and the exercise combined.
Yeah.
It wasn't basically sugar that I was cutting out, because I never did eat a lot of sugar. Basically, it was the time and not doing enough calorie restriction. And basically, it was a simple, for me, it was just a simple math. You know, how to, 3,500 calories is 1 pound. And in 1 week, I had to deduct that.
Right.
And sometimes I do go to bed with a 0 deficit, but I've eaten 1,400 calories in that day. So
That's
basically,
plenty.
I did exercise, and
Right.
Diet and exercise to me became very simple. But before I went and started losing weight, I couldn't understand it.
Right. And that's the first step. We always tell people, if you're not going to change your diet, you're not going to get the results you want. And you got to be willing to do it. That's the first step. You got to be really at the point to where you know you need to change.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you much for the
Thank
call,
you.
Mark. We'll be back in just a moment with our final break and this week's special. And welcome back. Here's our Monday Morning Live edition. We're talking about low testosterone today, mainly in men. And today's special is something that probably helped them out.
I was going to say, it's called androbil. I mean, it's a combination of about 4 or 5 things that are, everything in it is designed to do one of 2 things. Increase the production of the androgens, which are the testosterone and the testosterone producing compounds, and help you control blood sugar. And because we know that blood sugar is an issue, so we put stuff in there for that too, and it really works.
The fenugreek extract, which is one of the things that helps with blood sugar that's in it, is also, I mean, there's a lot of research on increasing testosterone.
Right.
Both total and free. So
Right.
it works really well. We have had a lot of men that come in that have even done injectables, and they actually say, I still don't feel good, even though the level shows higher.
It's just like Mark
And
was
we
telling you.
actually start them on the androbil. They start making their own testosterone, and they feel so much better. So it's also for vitality. It's not just to increase, if you start looking at the ingredients, vitality, energy.
Right.
One of the ingredients has even been shown to really help exercise endurance. And so there's a lot of other research about in each of these compounds that actually help with just overall health. So it's one of our bigger sellers to men. It really is.
Truly is.
And because people can tell a big difference when they use it.
Cool. Caller from Bay St. Louis worried that she might have Hep C, and if she does, what can she do to treat it?
Well, I mean, the first thing to do, of course, find out if you have it.
Yeah,
It's a simple
exactly.
blood test to see
And
if you
there
have
is advertisements out there right now that just tell baby boomers that every baby boomer needs to be checked,
And that's
because
true.
it's 1 out of every 30 baby boomers have Hep C. And
One of the things that we've seen with a lot of our patients now that have had Hep C for a long time, and they've been able to keep it under control with some of the natural compounds, but there's a new treatment out called Harvoni. And the people that we've seen that go through that
it does
have
work.
done
It does
extremely
actually
well.
kill the virus. And so
Yeah.
there are some new treatments that are very good. So if you do have it, you can do it. We do have some natural things that for years we used because the treatments were not very good.
the older treatments were
until
tough.
recently. The older treatments did not work very well.
And they were tough on you.
The olive leaf extract, we do
Right.
stuff to support the liver, like liver support and detox, milk thistle, colloidal silver. There's a lot of things that we do
Boosting
just
the
to kind
immune
of
system,
control it,
all that,
but
yeah.
it doesn't tend to clear the virus the way the new treatments are doing it. So have it checked. That's the first step.
Step
Check
one.
it, see where you are.
All right, 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. Those are our phone lines that are open to you right now. We just have a few minutes left in today's show, so if you have a question regarding today's subject, or like someone else called in, wanted some information about Hep C, or any other kind of question you might have regarding your health, That's what we're here for.
But I did want to mention too that there are other reasons, like thyroid problems can tend to lower testosterone as well.
Right.
There's a lot of things that can lower it. So we always recommend having the lab work done. We do testing for testosterone. DHEA, which is made in the adrenal glands, is a precursor to testosterone. And many times we see that stress lowers the DHEA, and DHEA is definitely a precursor. So if your DHEA is low, you're going to have a little bit lower testosterone also.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things, of course, Janine and I, if you've watched this show for any length of time, you say, test, okay?
Yeah, do the test.
I mean, and I've made the analogy, check the oil in your car before you start pouring oil in it. Well, it's the same thing with our body. And if you're a guy out there, and I don't care if you're in your 20s, 30s, if you're in your 20s and 30s, good time to test. Even if you don't really have a problem, so to speak, check and see, get you a baseline and say, okay, and then 2 or 3, 4, or 5 years down the road, you start having a problem, you got something to compare it to.
Right.
And that's an extremely valuable information to have.
But we also see the people that come in that think they have low testosterone, and when it's checked, that's not the problem.
Yeah.
There are other problems that are
could be
causing that
thyroid
fatigue.
or-
Exactly.
Thyroid problems,
So we always say to test. So you want to know what you're dealing with. If you don't know exactly what the problem is, it's hard to know what to do for it.
Right.
So that's what we always say: do the test. Usually we don't say just test testosterone. We usually say do what we call our expanded panel and add the testosterone.
Yeah.
Gives you a good view of what's going on. It'll tell you if you have your insulin, your sugar handling problem, your thyroid, your DHEA, your
All
adrenals.
those things.
It does all of them. And so you can see what's affecting what.
Yeah, and the thing about it too, whenever you come in to talk to the doctors about any issue that you may have, bring your list of medication with you.
Yes.
And there's no charge for consultation. I mean, where are you going to find a doctor that does that around here? And you don't need a doctor's nutrition.
Yeah.
And also, you don't need an appointment. You might have to wait a few minutes if there's others ahead of you, but. Yeah, definitely, and bring any recent blood work that you may have.
Yeah, all that, because it's like I say, it's I guess the thing that Janine and I like to try to get across to the public, we're your health care advocates. We're going to help you take care of yourself, and that's really what you have to do. You can't, believe me, your health is way too valuable to turn it over to anybody.
Yeah, nobody else has as much to lose as you do if you're not healthy.
Yeah.
So I always say people really need to take care of themselves.
All right.
Exactly.
Eunice is on the phone with us. Good morning, Eunice. What's your question for the doctors?
Hello, Eunice.
Hello.
Hello. My question was, I've been having a hurting in the flank of my left side of my back.
Okay.
And I don't know what to do with it. I've been putting pain patches on it and rubbing it and everything, but it's been lasting pretty good while.
With you saying it being on the side like that, my first thing is to think you need to do a urinalysis and check for a urinary tract infection. We see so many women with urinary tract infections, and it'll make back pain.
I was going to say that
and
flank
so that's
pain,
the first thing, just the way you described it, it's the first thing I thought of is, so you've got to rule out a urinary tract infection.
And check your kidney function too.
Right, kidney function too.
Just a simple
But
CMP
you want to
with
rule
kidney.
out the underlying problems it could be, because sometimes it is just back pain, and sometimes it is not. So that's why you have to do lab work to find out, but definitely a urinalysis as well.
Yeah, especially where you're complaining of pain in that flank.
Yeah.
And women are
pretty much kidney.
Women can have a kidney infection or urinary tract infections and have hardly any symptoms, maybe just pain. They don't have the burning. They don't have. We see it all the time. So it's something that you got to check because it can turn into worse things and it can actually go systemic. So
it can be bad.
Definitely get it checked.
All right. All right, well, that just about wraps up the show for today. We invite you to join us back next Monday morning at 9 o'clock. We're going to talk, kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look of a lot of the great things that go on at Doctor's Nutrition, how Jim and Janine got involved in doing the health thing.
Yes.
But anyway, and next week's show will have been pre-recorded.
Right.
So you won't be able to call in. So the following week, second Monday in July, we will have Open Line Monday. Anyway, hope you get out there and have yourself a wonderful week.